Okay, everyone is interested in where do I get the silver for my electrolytic silver cell here. If you look in here, you'll see pure silver crystals growing in the cell. And what I had to do, I had to stop this because I ran out of the impure silver shot that I use to feed the silver cell. These are the anode filter baskets, and I put impure silver shot in here, and then these baskets are suspended in the top of this silver cell so that they're submerged in the electrolyte, and then we pass an electric current through the impure silver shot. It dissolves, passes through that blue liquid in there, which is silver nitrate, passes through that liquid, and it plates out on the inside of this stainless steel bowl as absolutely pure elemental silver metal that we can harvest, get out of there, and melt it into bars or into here, let me show you this. This is what the pure silver crystal looks like when it comes out of the cell. This has been harvested and all the electrolyte has been rinsed off of it. And now what we can do is we can melt this up into nice pure silver bars. All right, just before the silver was melted into shot, it looks like this. This is called cement silver. It's 99% pure silver powder. And where this comes from is when I do my gold refining back here, I alloy silver with the karat gold to get it down to about a 25% gold alloy. And then we hit it with hot dilute nitric acid treatments and extract the silver back out that we just alloyed into the gold. And it does a fantastic job of cleaning the gold up. And then what I do is I pour off the silver bearing solution in this silver jar right here. You'll notice there's some pieces of silverware, undissolved silverware in there. And the reason for that is because we let me see if I can zoom in. We want to keep undissolved silver in our silver jar to consume any of the excess nitric acid that's in that solution. And by doing that, we get the most efficient use of the nitric acid. Nitric acid is very expensive. So I keep pieces of silver, raw undissolved silver, in the silver jar to consume the excess nitric. Once this back here, this is ready to be filtered. So once this is done, once this reaction is done, and I'm certain that all the excess nitric acid has been consumed, then what I do is I filter it out. And then, let's see if I can move over here without creating a disaster. And then what we do is we add pieces of clean copper metal to it, to that liquid from that jar. And the silver, this is silver powder right here, probably about a kilo or so, maybe half a kilo, I guess. I can't tell when it's in the powdered form. Here's another one. And we just add pieces of copper metal to this, and the silver reacts with the copper. The copper is a more reactive metal. The silver is a less reactive metal. And so what happens is, in accordance with the reactivity series of metals, we add the more reactive copper to our silver solution that we poured off out of our silver jar that I just showed you. We add copper metal to that, and the silver, like magic, comes out of solution and falls to the bottom of the beaker as this gray silver powder. It resembles wet cement, and that's why we call it cement silver. That's the the name that we gave it because it looks just like wet cement in there. Next, we rinse all of that blue liquid off of there until we get most of that blue liquid is copper, till we get all that rinsed off. And then what we end up with is this 99% pure silver powder. And the main contaminant here is going to be copper, although there may be some platinum group metals in here as well. All right, I've got a bucket here that I just cleaned out a little bit. And what I do, let's see if I can do it for you here, is I got this little rod, this piece of channel here, aluminum channel that I bought at the Ace Hardware store. And I put some of the silver in the channel, like so. And then what we do, let's see if I can get this on the camera here. I've got a little electric crucible going here. And what I do is I add the silver powder to this crucible and melt it, make molten silver in here. And then once I got the silver molten inside my crucible, what I do then is I've got a contraption set up over here that is a turkey fryer. It's full of water. And I've got a little board here. And on this board, what I do is I set it into the handle like that. And then once the silver in my crucible here is completely molten and that crucible's full, what I do is I've got a submersible pump I put in there to circulate the water. And I fill it up with ice. So I got a nice cold solution. And then I take the molten silver and I pour it onto this wet piece of wooden board here. And it fans out and spatters into small granules shot of the impure silver. And it falls down to the bottom of that water tank there. All right, I'm going to add the last bit of silver out of this container to this channel. And we'll put that in our crucible. Let that melt. And while we're waiting for that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit this from two angles because it takes so long to do. I am planning on building a nice melting pot, big clay melting pot. I could do 2 melts with the amount of silver that I have in here. And what do you call it? A furnace, a gas-fired, propane gas-fired furnace. I'm planning on making one of those in a future video, so that'll be coming up. And then I can just pour the a whole group of it all at once into my tank there. But for now, what I got to do is I've got a little melt table set up here, and I've got 2 MAP gas torches. What we'll do is get these things fired up and let this start melting. And then I have an acetylene torch over here that I'll fire that up in a few minutes once this gets going. And then I'll hit it from both angles with the electric furnace and this open face melt dish and see if I can get my silver shot poured today. Okay, here's the prize. This is our silver granules, and we'll use those to feed the silver cell. This is about 99% silver. Looks pretty bad because it's contaminated with copper. This is going to be silver. This is silver jewelry, scrap stuff. And what we do is we use this scrap silver, here's some more, to inquart our carat gold with. We add silver to the carat gold to reduce the gold content down to about 25%, so that we can draw the silver and base metals out with hot dilute nitric. So this is one source of our silver that we get, just pieces of silver jewelry and scrap stuff that we bought at yard sales and at local resale shops. Plus, if you look down here, we go to estate sales, different places, and I've got a drawer full of silver flatware and bowls, salt and pepper shakers, all kind of stuff. Mrs. Sreetips gets this for me at local sales, and I just save it up, and we dissolve it in the nitric acid, use it for inquarting gold, and that is where we get our silver. Went in here, got to operate the camera, refine the metal, and try to narrate all at once. You can see the silver hasn't quite melted there, so put that back on. Over here, I've got a batch down in the melt dish there, and it's powdered form. So what we got to do there is, when we hit it with the torch, we got to hit the flame with a real light flame, just barely enough to start reacting with the metal there and form a crust on it. Notice I got the torch about a foot away from the metal, and if I get the torch flame too high or hold it too close, then it will blow the silver powder out of the melt dish. Something I want to try to avoid. Now I've got a crust formed on it. You can see I can get down a little closer with my torch, and what I'm going to do now is put the other torch on it. And we're going to crank up the oxyacetylene now. Get this melted up real good. We got going on in here. It's ready for another charge of metal. So what I'll do is add some metal to my rail here. And then we'll open up the top of the furnace and just slide it right in. I got my torch turned way up. Notice that I have the flame directed at the side of the melt dish and not directly on the metal. If you put that hot flame right on the metal, what it'll do is it'll vaporize the silver and we'll lose silver. Silver will go up in smoke, literally. This is ready. I'm going to turn the flame down a little bit. And what we'll do, move the camera over here So you see what I'm doing? I'm going to pull our silver over here. Pour it on the board to form our nice silver shot for the silver sail. Okay, before I pour the electric furnace charge in here, I'm going to reach down in there and scoop the metal out of the way. The water's still pretty cold, but it has a tendency to weld together down there. So I keep it scooped out of the way of metal in the electric furnace. It's ready to go. So what we'll do now is I've got my graphite rod to hold the crucible in the furnace as I pour. Here's the furnace. I'm going to pour it right out onto this metal board here and make our nice shot. This is the best way that I've found to make this silver for my silver cell. Alright, now we're going to disassemble everything. Turn my electric furnace off. Now we're going to take apart this tank of water here. Unplug my pump, pull it out. Now what we'll do is take this in and pour off the water and get our shot. This is just tap water. There's nothing toxic in it or anything. So you can see down in here, see what the shot looks like in there. There's our shot, ready to be run through the electrolytic silver cell. Okay, I'm going to transfer it now into this smaller steel container so we can put it on a heating pad and get it all dried out real good. Alright, now take this out, put it on some heat here. We'll let this dry out real good. Okay, here we go. We're going to turn our scale on. I'm going to add our container. I'm going to tear the scale to 0. Here's our silver shot from today's excursion. I'm going to add it to this container now. See how much silver we have to work with here. Alright. Looks like we've got 2,508 grams of 99% impure silver shot. This is what I use for an anode filter basket. It is a Dacron filter bag with a rubber seal on it. Turn it inside out, and then we stick it in our filter basket right here, and I press it down in there with a paper tube to make sure it bottoms out nicely. I take my ring, stick that down over the edge of it here, and I hold it with my chin while I lock the filter in place with that ring. Okay, now I take a sharp razor and trim away the excess filter bag all the way around underneath the retainer ring. All right, there we go. There's our finished anode filter basket. Now we're going to take some of our freshly minted impure silver shot, fill up our anode basket here with this. Put that big hunk in there. It's going to give me a hard time. It's on camera, of course. Okay, now we're going to take our anode filter basket here that's full of impure shot, set it down into the electrolyte in the top of the cell. Now I'll reach back here into this little storage container, get the anode electrode bar here, and what this is a little bar of silver made out of 3/9 fine silver. Let me cover this up first here. And this anode bar sits right on top. This is what it looks like. It's just a pure silver bar with a protrusion cast into it. This is of my own design. And I set that on top of this impure silver shot here. And then we're going to connect the positive side of the power supply to the electrode bar. Okay, let's look up here at the power supply. We're going to turn the power supply on now and adjust the voltage to 3.5 volts. Okay, now what we'll do, all right, the liquid level I notice is just a touch on the low side. So I'm going to add a little bit of distilled water here and stir it again. Make sure we got the proper level. We do not want any of the silver crystal that's growing in there exposed to the air as the cell operates. The electrolyte level will drop due to evaporation. So we just add a little bit of water to it and stir it up. Just so we're clear, I want to do a little review here. This is what we start out with: sterling silver flatware and assorted sterling silver pieces, including some scrap jewelry, 925 silver jewelry. Next, we dissolve the 925 sterling silver jewelry in acid. Next, we filter all the solids out of it, and then we add the filtered silver nitrate solution to a beaker like this. Then we add pieces of copper like this, and in accordance with the reactivity series of metals, the silver comes out of solution on the copper, and the copper goes into solution. The two metals trade places in that reaction. Then we take that rinsed gray silver powder and we turn it into shot by melting it and pouring it in a tub of water like we did in this video. to make this 99% impure silver shot. We feed the impure silver shot into the anode filter basket of the silver cell and pass an electric current through it. It dissolves and goes into the electrolyte and then plates out in here as absolutely pure elemental silver metal on the inside of the stainless steel bowl that acts as the cathode. And the final product, when we get done, is absolutely pure elemental silver metal crystal. That'll do it for this video. I hope you understand the process now of where the silver comes from. We start out with 925 sterling silver material that we buy at local sales, dissolve it in acid, turn it into cement silver or gray silver powder here. Then we collect the silver powder, melt it into impure silver shot, run this through the electrolytic silver cell, and we come out on the other end with ultra high purity silver crystal. Some will be asking, why don't we just melt the 925 sterling silver material and run that straight through the cell? And the answer is, this would have too much copper in it. It's about 10% copper and 90% silver. If you try to run this through the electrolytic silver cell, the electrolyte would quickly become saturated with copper, and then once the copper level gets way up there, we run the risk of the copper plating out with the pure silver crystal and contaminating the pure silver crystal. That'll do it for this video. Thank you for watching.